Welcome to the Laser Lounge podcast at Pate Ranch, where creativity meets craftsmanship and the laser world comes to life. I'm Alicia Pate, your host, a maker and also a laser engraving pro. Whether you're a seasoned laser veteran, a hobbyist looking to turn passion into profit, or you're a small business owner ready to scale, you're in the right place. Each episode, we dive into the latest trends, some business strategies, industry insights, and hands-on tips to help you maximize your laser setup. We also bring in group experts to talk about irrelevant topics that's going on in the laser and maker space. We'll share real-world experiences from our own shop, and we like to talk about laser, woodworking, leather, and more. So grab your coffee, fire up your laser, and let's get to work. We want to thank our show sponsors. They are Thunder Laser USA, Hotian Laser USA, and Phantom CNC. Look forward to today's topic. All right, guys. Hey, it's Alicia and James. It's another week. We're back on the podcast here. And again, as I said, we were going to try to hit more of these weekly or every other week. And so today was a good time for us to kind of sit down and really kind of bring forth the conversation of what we've been doing in our shop as a topic today. And that's really upgrading your shop. Is the big equipment buy really worth it? And we've been going through this ourselves in our own shop, and should we buy a big piece of equipment? And we kind of did this last year. Well, it was about a year and a half ago with the CNC. But we've been looking at another large piece of equipment for our shop. We've actually been researching it a little over a year. And as two engineers, it kind of takes that long to mine that data and make a decision. But we finally did. And so we are going to get a UV printer, and we're going to kind of walk through some things that we think might be good for the community out there. Is it the right time for you to do that with your own shop? And I'll caveat it. This could be a UV printer. It could be a new laser. It could be a CNC. It could be some woodworking equipment that you're wanting.
Galvo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
It could be some woodworking equipment, or even if you're wanting to get into the welding side, it's really leatherworking. It's basically, what do you need to think about before you add a new bigger piece of equipment? And I think why it resonates with us is because this is probably the most expensive piece of equipment we've purchased.
Yeah. Who's your clientele? What marketplace do you see? Are you trying to expand or service your current clientele? We're going to get into it, but we've actually lost some orders because we didn't have color. So that's really important for us.
So the things we're going to hit today, even though we may give examples of the color, think as you're listening, if you're looking at maybe a sawmill, or I'm just kind of going to go some things, or maybe a bandsaw or whatever it is, use that as the example as we talk. So we're going to hit some major items here, and we'll just get it started. And again, we'll tag team the conversation back and forth. So the first section that we'll hit is, what are your current business needs? And there's really three key areas there, and we'll kind of step through with that and give the examples of us. But the first one is the demand analysis. Are your customers actually asking for it? Are they asking for color? Have we turned away jobs because we didn't have it, or they've called us and said, hey, can you do this in color? Most people know this. We work with Folds of Honor, but they've asked for several things in color. And that's a big client, B2B client of ours that we know that if we added color, we can envision some of those things for them.
Yeah, we've lost a couple orders, just to be honest, because we didn't have color. So
yeah, and there's a university that we work with that we know we could really do some bang out awards if we had color in our shop. And again, like I said, we've kind of stewed over it for a year because it's a big decision. And I've gone to two conferences. You went to one with me to kind of go and start the look at different manufacturers. And we came out of it, this last one in Vegas, that, it probably is right for her shop. But the main thing you should ask yourself before you add a big piece of equipment is what's the demand analysis look like for your own business? Are people asking for it? Is it a gap that you have? And kind of make those notes. The next one is your capacity check. Is your existing equipment maxed out? Can you do what you're wanting to do with equipment you already have, or do you have to have this to get that done? And we've stepped through this with the leather equipment. When we needed some leather equipment that we didn't have, like the pneumatic leather clicker, we didn't have that, and we had a manual one, but it was our bottleneck, right? And so so ask yourself, with equipment you currently have, is it worth adding a new piece of equipment to get your bandwidth a little
Or a
better?
second one, you did that with the lasers. I've seen you run 3 and 4 lasers at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had that many orders, and that's just, we ran quick numbers on it. There's a couple of ways to do it. We'll get into it, but I mean, you can do a return, number of months or years to return, ROI, that kind of thing. I think we've got that coming up
Yep.
next, financial considerations.
And then the last one in this, assessing your current business needs is your niche expansion. Does a UV printer or a piece of equipment open new markets for you? For us, the UV printer, I think, is going to exponentially open new markets for us, or I should say new product lines. I'm already envisioning what I'm going to do with my current product lines with the color. And I know they say, make sure you know kind of what you're going to do with the tool, or some people advise that before you buy it. We have a good idea what we're going to do. And we've already been brainstorming and with excitement, actually, what new things that we're going to bring to those existing clients that we hadn't been able to do before. And just kind of looking around in, the market space of this, we're getting really excited as some things we can do. I mean, we've already made name tags and things like that with the dual Romex color stuff. And now we can do full color name tags for some of our clients, and the speed that is my understanding that it's going to bring, and just with the vibrance. So that's what I mean by, does the UV printer or the whatever piece of equipment you're looking at open new markets for you? And note that, and how does that align with your goals, right? You should be aware of that.
Or help you expand your current market. So we can offer, that's another offering. We do it and just engrave, or we can just add color now.
Yeah, we've said with our current offerings that we can just have, here's price point for lasering, and here's the price point for taking your logo and using color. So it's a nice additive to have there. So James, let's walk through some of the financial considerations that a maker would want to think about before they buy a big purchase like this.
Okay, the first one you kind of hit on is, what is the cost of the equipment and what revenue do you see yourself bringing in? Of course, with the revenue, you need to know what the margin is, but you should know what the total cost is. Like when we bought a laser, you knew what it was. You looked at the shipping. We had to add some exhaust for it. You added some software training. I mean, just get the total cost of ownership to buy that. Also, there's going to be I think it's pretty small, but we really want to get technical about it. How much more electricity you're going to use? Do you have enough space for it? You're going to have to expand your space. So you should really know how much revenue you're going to generate out of that, and then what the margin is going to be on top of that. And then from there, you can calculate how many months does it take or years to pay off, or what is the return on investment.
Yeah, I mean, with this, for us, the UV printer, we kind of went into it with a real liberal sense. We said 2 years, right? We're going to tell ourselves, as long as we paid it back within 2 years. But we're seeing people online that are like, I paid mine off in 2 weeks, or I paid mine off in, 3 months just with the earrings. And so, it tells you that the power.
2 weeks would be fast.
2 weeks would be fast. But
drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah, but there have been people that have done that. Their stuff just went kind of viral and crazy. Yeah. But so for us, setting that 2 year, which I think we'll be able to get it, but that's kind of where we're at right now. But I'll let you get back.
Yeah, next one's cash flow. So you've got to have the capital up front to cover the cost, or you're going to have to finance it. So you need to factor all that in. We have kind of bootstrapped this thing, and we just tend to pay cash for everything that we do. We just save up the cash, we spend it. There's a bunch of tax implications there that we talk about later, but so it just made sense for us. If you're gonna buy it, though, you've got to come up with that cash initially, and then also know what your ongoing costs are going to be. Is there going to be maintenance? Like with this printer, we looked into the ink, and maybe we'll get into that later when we get the machine. But there's going to be ink. The materials are more expensive to print on. If there's downtime, we've got to factor that in too, because then we expected the machine to be producing and running. Right. So we need to know how to make.
And that's the same with lasers, right? The consumables. I know with the CO2 glass machines, it's tubes and lenses, right? And so a lens you can get for $30-40, but on an RF tube, those lenses are $400, right?
Yes.
And so you need to be aware of what all encompassing goes on there, and how you're going to pass that on to the consumer. People get wrapped up about the ink cost. We're just going to pass that on in the price of what we charge.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to be an increased price to print color because it costs us more. The machine costs more. And frankly, the market will bear it. So I think that's another important distinction. Figure out what your local market will bear. The last one is how long does it take you to get your money back or your return on investment? So, as you said, a lot of companies will set 12 to 24 months as a common payback period. There's a little bit of a kind of asterisk there. That doesn't factor in. Well, maybe at the end of the 24 months, the machine's used up or it needs a lot of maintenance or a new tube or something. So it's really not a good idea. You should really calculate the net present value of it and all that we can get into later. But those are things that you need to consider. You really need to put a spreadsheet together to calculate this. We made assumptions on the number of units we're going to sell. And frankly, with just kind of the way we operate, it'll drive us to focus that, market it more. I feel more than comfortable. I think we'll get it paid off in a year, frankly, but we said minimum of 2 years. So our goal is a year, right?
Yeah. And I think for us, it really doesn't fit into the financial space, but I'll say it. We felt like we were going to get left behind if we didn't add color in our shop. And I'm not saying that you can't do some of the things that we're doing, only that, but for us, we're just seeing the trends and where things are going.
That's true.
And there's a lot of small businesses, people like us that are adding this, and I can see what it's just opening up so many more avenues. And I just felt like if we didn't do this, we might get left a little bit in the dust. And I'm not saying that that will happen for everybody because they have their own little niche area and focus, but that's how we felt.
Yes. And I think losing a couple of orders and getting multiple calls from our big customers, do you do color? Do you do color? They're basically saying, I need color. And we're saying, no, we don't do color. So we weren't prepared to say no anymore. We're going to try it. Everything's a risk. It's, you take the opportunity. So, but there's definitely some great business cases out there and examples.
And I'll add one more before I go to the next kind of section. And that was, we really need to get more into the award space. And what we see in the award space is color, color, color. I mean, there's so many.
That's right.
It's hard to compete in the award space without the color. I mean, you still can. I'm not saying you can't. But if you go look at some of the top-notch award companies, they're using UV printing and different mediums to put together and different depth of field and things like that. And so that was another thing that kind of pushed us there. But so let's go to the next area, really, in that space and infrastructure. I know a lot of people are working out of their garage, and some are in a single room in their house, and you've already got 1 or 2 lasers, and it might be difficult to get, a big 3x4, maybe even bigger by that, 5x6 UV printer or CNC in your shop or your garage. But you need to think about the physical space, and do you have room for it? And because these things aren't little, right? I mean, just getting them through the doors, you need a double door or a garage. And for us, we're probably going to have to sell some of these lasers. We've got a couple of big gantry machines that frankly, we're not really using anymore. And so we're going to have to unload some equipment to bring this new equipment in. And then you also want to check your power requirements. As we've upgraded our shop, we started on a Glowforge and then a Aeon Mirror 9. We've in just a bedroom. Now we're in a full shop and we have to have 220s and what else kind of outlets? 20 amps.
It may have to be a dedicated circuit.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the filtration requirement on this, the cleanliness.
So we have to have our room we're going to have to keep the AC on more and the ventilation more and probably run. You already have some of these filters in here. We're probably, because there's some conditional environments that need to be kept. It has to be cooled and certain moisture level.
So check the specs on the machine you're buying. Yeah.
And if you're getting a CNC, you don't want a CNC in your house, right? So you need to have that space in the garage. And then workflow fit. Will it disrupt your current setup? And how does it integrate with everything else you have? We're going to have to shift ours around a little bit. We have the design room, which is about 800 square feet. And once I get a couple of these lasers out of here, I'm going to have to move some of my equipment around so that the workflow just, with the tables and the production and all that.
You want a straight line. If you can have a straight line, or an L is like the most next most efficient. And then we've got, just FYI, we've got the woodworking connected with a walk door in between. So we can make products out there on the CNC or finish them, bring them in here and laser engrave them. But we try to just make it a straight or an L line. The last the last kind of station, if you will, is right next to our double doors where we can just load the product and then back the truck up, throw it in the truck, take it to the, shipping.
Yeah, and it depends on the equipment, right? When I got the UV, the second UV, I just had room on my table, so it was easy for it to integrate in easy well because it was already next to the other ones.
Yep.
But this is a different beast of an animal, and so we're going to have to make sure that we've got it set up correctly. And I know PDS is going to come out and help get it set up and do some install training, and so they'll be able to correct us if there's something that we need to adjust there. So once you hit to the next area, James.
Okay, sure. You kind of hit this lightly, but I'll go over it pretty quickly. We're talking about market research and competition. You have a customer base, an existing customer base. Are they going to buy your UV printed products? So we've actually talked to our customers. Hey, we're looking at getting color. What do you think? Yeah, I would be interested in that. We don't have, firm commitments, but that's okay. We know where we can market elsewhere if we need to. Because you're going to have to show it to them. I guess you could go get some stuff color printed and say, would you buy this? But you are taking a little bit of a risk getting it, but we're confident that our customers will buy it. You can also run a survey if you want to get, really technical. We just did some conversations.
I think what we're probably going to do, I haven't even talked to you about this, but I was thinking about it the other day, is once we get it set up and we've got our feet wet a little bit, we're just going to make sample products and send it to them.
Yeah.
Right. And then go, this is what we can do. And just kind of the ooh and ah that's in their hands.
Update our catalog, make it like an option. It's an optional thing. They don't have to use it, but if they want it, they can. The next one's competitors' edge. Will it give you an edge over your competitor, in other words? So you can look around at your local offerings. You can see what's offered. There are some professional shops that print. They're really expensive. So that's a good thing for you because you might be able to, like us, we have our own shop. It's a small shop where we try to be super efficient and keep our overhead low so we can compete with those guys and frankly beat them in most cases. So you can stand out with price, quality, probably speed. Sometimes they get backed up. So now you're going to have that capability if you have the color printer. So that's the way we see it. Anything to add to that one? There's one more here. Testing the waters. We kind of hit on this. This is like an option. We didn't choose this, but you can subcontract the UV work.
We did a little bit with we did some Ninja Transfer stuff. Remember?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. Tell me about that.
So we had a client that really wanted us to laser engrave on a ceramic succulent little bowl, like your little cactus little bowl. And so its shape was very weird. It wasn't perfectly round and it was going to different dimensions. And so I said, man, I think that some of those perma stickers is best for this instead of engraving it. And so I ordered their logo from Ninja Transfers and it was perfect. I mean, it looked great and they were real happy with it. And then the other thing that we bought was with our own brand. We bought DTF, direct to garment or direct to film. It's the stuff that you cut out and you heat press on shirts. And so we were real happy with that. And it's held up real well. We put it on hat patches and direct on the hat. And so, just a little bit of experience of buying it from somebody else to see how would this be like, how would it be used in our shop a little bit with our own kind of marketing and branding. We are real impressed with. But, one area about this that I think is nice is if you really don't want to have the expense of this, support other makers who have these UV printers and you can third party this out, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And then you could also do that as you save up your money to get the down payment, or if you're going to pay cash, you have that transition plan. So I like that one.
Yeah.
It's a good option.
So the next one for us really was funny because it's the topic of timing and scalability. We almost did this a year ago. I think we have a tendency to overthink things a little bit and make sure, is this the right thing? But the timing for us right now is right. I mean, we are in a space where we did very well last year. We're getting pretty grounded on the lasers that we like to use in our shop. I've gone from making big, humongous signs to doing more high volume production, smaller scale Galvo type work. And just, it just feels right. Like adding the time and the color in it. And so that's something for you to think about. Is your business stable enough to take the leap, right? We've got a good client base, especially B2B clients, that I feel pretty confident when I bring new products to them that they're going to click on and buy things. If you don't have quite the client base yet and you're just going to be Etsying it only, you maybe want to wait a little bit.
Yeah, I
Or
wouldn't go out and buy special equipment of this magnitude. We're talking like 30 to 50,000
yeah,
plus.
yeah,
It's a lot of money. So you better know that you're going to get your money back. You can handle it cash flow, like we said, and that it's going to be an integral part of your product offerings.
yeah, look at your future growth, where you're wanting to take your business. You know, you may say, "I've been happy with what I'm doing now, but this is where I see us going in a few years." For us, I don't want to be hustling all the time and doing a lot of woodworking stuff and really hands-on things. And from what I understand with the UV printing is it's super fast. And, a lot of people are telling me, the laser people are saying, I'm doing less lasering. I'm still using it to cut out, but the embellishment work is happening with the UV printer. So I would like to have it where equipment is working for me more so than me being the stucky doing it, and having more time to be creative. And so, look at your future growth, what your roadmap is for your business. How can you use this for your 3 to 5 year plan, and think of it that way.
Okay, we can hit on the risk real quick. What would you do if you bought the machine and it didn't work? I mean, that's pretty scary, or it didn't work for you, that is. So you would have to sell it. So I think it is good to do a worst case scenario. I don't plan on selling it. It's going to work for us. We've done that with everything. The thing that's a little tricky with the UV printer is we started very small with the laser.
Hmm.
You started off with a Glowforge, then stepped up to, a bigger, more powerful machine, then finally stepped up to the 63. And we've just added from there. So we had the advantage of paying for these things as we went, because that's the way we started. So just know what you're getting yourself into. We do see some equipment. I've seen quite a few lasers dumped on the market recently.
Yeah, they have. I think people think that you buy these tools and they're going to be a cash cow for you. You're the cash cow. You're the one that
Right.
needs to be
No,
creative. But I
I'm not
will
going to
say,
print money for you.
we've got some makers that are flippers, right? And Todd, I think he's going to be buying one of our one of our fibers, but he'll buy equipment. If he's not using it, he sells it. And then if he starts seeing he's got clients that are coming back and asking for the same kind of thing, then he'll just go out and buy used of that. So
I think that's smart. I mean, he's very agile. He's very nimble. He's just moving with the market, and he'll test things. I mean, the only problem I would say with this is a $30,000 or $50,000 test.
yeah, so
So,
this was going to force us to really say, what is our business plan?
yes,
Are we using this tool like we should? And same for a large scale CNC. Those are $15,000 to $20,000, if not more.
more. Yeah, more. Yeah.
So
Yeah, easily.
you need to be where, how many hours a week am I going to be using this thing, right?
Yes. I mean, and that's a good analogy. When we started off with a 4x4, we could have gotten a 4x8 or a 5x10. We may upgrade that eventually. A couple other items to hit here. The warranty and support. I mean, we went PDS because of the warranty, the support, the on-site setup. We wanted that. These machines can be a little tricky to set up. And the reliability is a huge deal for us. Once we start running a piece of equipment, we don't want to spend a lot of time on maintenance. We don't really tolerate downtime well. Maybe that's more of an attitude than anything else.
Yeah,
but
and for us, a lot of people had just rave reviews for them and the Mamaki brand, and not that the others were like bad per se, but it just bubbled up as it was really a true industrial piece of equipment.
and we tend to
And
run our equipment pretty hard when we're running it. We try to get bigger orders and just keep it loaded up. So we want something that we can run 8 to 10, 12 hours a day if we need to.
and I see where the space is going here. You're probably going to have some smaller companies bringing more machines, UV printing light. I would say that, I mean, just like Glowforge did, right? They jumped
Yeah.
in and were like, we can get on this market. And the Bolt too, right? It was targeted towards a lower price point, but a powerful, mighty machine. I'm sure UV printers will go there eventually, but for us, we wanted, a solid warranty, hands-on, a person that we could pick up the phone and talk to if something went wrong, or because this is a learning curve for us. I'm a laser person, you're woodworking. We are not UV printing people yet. Okay. So
It'll be fun. It's going to be a challenge. The last one, and we still need to do this, is we'll have to add the machine to our insurance, to your insurance policy. So think about that, because in the, unlikely event, and God forbid that it happens, you have a fire or something and you lose a $50,000 machine, you're going to want to make sure that it's insured.
Yeah, that's a good point because, you're starting to get a lot of equipment and need to make sure you're handling that business side. But we just kind of wanted us to go through a couple of things of helping people when they're trying to decide, should I, add new equipment to my shop? And it could be, I mean, to you, it could be something that's even a several $100 investment that's just new to you, or a couple $1,000 to, anywhere from 50 to 70,000. I mean, it just depends on, because each business is in a different maturity space, right? I mean, I still remember when I wanted the Glowforge, and that was what, $6,000, 6 or 7 grand. And you were like, write your business plan first before we buy it. I mean, I had to kind of nicely prove the case of what I was going to do with it.
Well,
And
it's just thinking through your plan, right? I think we paid that back in
it was like 6 months to 8 months or
yeah,
something.
which is great. Yeah,
But you
running
should
out of a
do
spare
that,
bedroom.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you definitely don't want to get in the hole for something like this. But you want to summarize this and close this out, James?
Yeah, I think just, we're going to get a UV color printer because it fits our business case. We have the use cases for it. We have the economics behind it as we hit on. It's going to be a learning curve for us, and we're going to adjust as we need to. It makes sense for us. I think you just need to evaluate your business where you are. And I think that was great. I mean, this applies to anything. It could be a router table. Should you buy it or should you build it? It could be another laser. It could be a Galvo. So whenever you're evaluating equipment, figure out how it fits your business and your clientele. Is it going to have the cash flow and the return on investment that you expect? So know what your numbers are and know how it's going to impact your business. Those are the main points.
Yeah, and I laugh at the one on space because there's been a couple of people in the laser industry that have bought machines and then they couldn't get them upstairs or downstairs into their basement and they had to sell them. So, I mean,
Good point.
do
Yeah.
your due diligence and make sure that this thing will fit, and think about it before you go and purchase it. But so we're getting a Mamaki 6042 from PDS Equipment, and we're super excited about it. It'll be here probably in about 3 weeks, and we're going to integrate it like we do the rest of our tools in our shop. We're a maker shop. We've got woodworking, lasers, leather, and now we'll have some UV printing equipment. And so we'll walk y'all through the journey as we learn some things. And I'm sure if you're in the laser lounge, you'll see us showing some videos and images of integrating it into our products and our workflow. And we're super excited about it. And I'm somewhat nervous, but I think it's going to be great, and it's going to really bring out a lot of creativity. So thanks you guys for listening this week. We just kind of wanted to jump on and put kind of where we are in our journey with our business. We're 6 years in. I'd say our last 2 years have been really the more mature ones. And we really think this is going to open up a lot of areas for us. And we'll see you online, and y'all have a wonderful rest of the week.
Cheers.